What's up, everybody? So we're back out in the shop with another Shop Talk Tuesday. We're going to be doing this kind of old school style, where I'm going to be showing y'all some things and doing that process. Now, what we were going to be doing on this week's Shop Talk Tuesday, when it was going to be on a Tuesday, was shaping the handle scales for the giveaway knife. Now, of course, with the way this week worked out and all the stuff that I had to do for work, that's not going to happen. But as you see from the title, we're going to go ahead and talk about 1x30s today. I've had a lot of people request for me to actually break down some of the stuff that I've done to my 1x30s and kind of like some tips and tricks type things. So we're going to go ahead and focus on that today and give y'all the rundown. Now, when it comes down to a 1x30, they can do almost anything that a 2x72 can do. You're going to come into a few different issues with power, and speed and things like that, because a lot of 2x72s have adjustable speeds on them. They have more power because the motors are larger, things like that. But when it comes to a 1x30, I have made complete knife builds purely on the 1x30s, and I do have a video that's going to be coming up here within the next month or so that is me making a knife completely just with using the 1x30s as opposed to my 2x72. So there will be no 2x72 in that video. It'll be bevels, handle shaping, all of that stuff, sharpening, everything purely on 1x30s, so that y'all can see that that can do just as much work as my 2x72. Now, at the end of the video, I'll explain some of the reasons behind getting a 2x72 and why you shouldn't get a 2x72. So we'll have that there. But when it comes down to this, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to hop over here, and we're going to talk about these 1x30s. So let's get it. So now when it comes to my 1x30s, of course, a few things stand out on them. This one's horizontal. This one has pretty much a full-size platen on it. I'm going to break down why these things are the way that they are. Now, let's start off with the horizontal one, because it's the one that stands out the most. When it comes to this particular setup, what I primarily use this for is handle shaping, and then using my Scotch-Brite belt just to smooth out a few things that happen to the metal and all that stuff whenever I'm using the 2x72 with the different belts on it. Every once in a while I will want to smooth out a spine or something like that, or take off a burr or something from grinding on the steel with the 2x72. So I'll just come over here real quick, turn it on, hit it with the Scotch-Brite belt, knock it off, go back over to the 2x72, so that I'm not having to swap the belt out as often. I don't have to take that belt off of the 2x72, put on a Scotch-Brite belt, do the deburring, and then go back and take that belt off, put the other belt back on. I don't have to do as much work. I can just come right over here, pop this on, use it, go back over here. I like it set up on a horizontal setup because I can easily just get after it and walk back over. It's just ease of use, as opposed to coming over here and having to look down on it. So look this way to be able to work it. I can just come straight over here, hit it, see it easily with my eyes, hit it, go off. So I've got that set up on here. Now, the big thing with this one is it's got a itty bitty little platen, as opposed to this one that's got a large platen. The reason behind this small platen is because this is just to create tension on the different belts. That's all that's here for. Every once in a while I use it pure slack, so just from this wheel to this wheel, it'll be just a pure slack belt. And then sometimes I want to have a little bit of tension, and I'll use this little bitty 1-inch tall platen to be able to adjust that tension in this section right here. Now, as you can see, it is on this frame right here that I just built out of wood, so that it was real easy to have it mounted. And then this little cover, all this is for is so that all of the everything that gets kicked off from this large wheel that's on the side here, that large wheel, it keeps it from flying up all on the wall back here. So that's why I have this, as opposed to this can be all open because the wheel's on the bottom and everything's just going to go right here this wheel being right here, everything's going to go back there. So that is why it's set up like it is right here. Now, if you ever saw the covers that go on the sides here, the actual area that you attach a vacuum to is right by this wheel, and it blows everything out. So it's just gonna blow everything back this way if I don't have this little cover on here. Now, like I said, with it being horizontal, it is nice because you can just walk up, easily see what you're doing, and then walk off. So I love this setup. I use it very often. Now, both this 1x30 and this 1x30 have the little adjustment area back here loosened up. So this little piece that is on the back right here, that controls the wheel that does your tracking and the tension on your belt. That right there. A lot of the times whenever you get these 1x30s, that area back here is painted in, so that's really tight or not movable at all, so you really can't adjust your tension at all. So with this, you want to make sure you undo this bolt that's back here a little bit so that you can get a little bit of movement out of there. All this adjustment does is adjust the tracking. This adjusts your tension. It makes it a lot easier to take your belts on and off. Now, I leave it fully loose so that I can easily just put the belt on there. It creates as much tension as I need. It's done. I don't have to sit there and tighten that bolt, loosen that bolt, any of those things. It's just loosened up a little bit so that they can move back and forth. Now, on this particular 1x30, we of course have our full platen that goes all the way up to the top. It's a very simple little setup, and I'm going to take this off real quick and show you what that looks like. Take these off. So this is the platen for that 1x30. It's just bent at a 90-degree angle and then a 45-degree angle. It is 1 inch wide by 1/8 inch thick, just mild steel stock that you can get from any hardware store. It's got some slots cut into it so that it can move back and forth to whatever tension I need. And this right here has been a game changer in my 1x30s because I use the 1x30 for all of the sharpening and everything. So I use this very often. Every single knife that comes out of my shop has been sharpened utilizing this 1x30 with this platen on it. Every single one of them. It's super handy. I really love this. Like I said, it's just a piece of mild steel that's 1 inch by 1/8 inch thick that has a 90-degree angle and a 45-degree angle. And the way that it works is it mounts on the bottom and then has pressure up here to keep it locked into place. And that's all you do. Super simple little modification there to make this really useful for a lot of different things, because you can easily shape bevels, do all of those things with these 1x30 belts right here. You can do everything with these, and these belts are way cheaper than 2x72 belts. I'm talking about way cheaper than 2x72 belts. And you can get these in all of the different grits. They sell these everything from a 24 grit all the way up to a 2000 grit if you wanted to get one. I use for sharpening a 600 grit, 800 grit, and 1000 grit belt. And then I use a leather strapping belt, and it makes quick work of being able to sharpen things. Now, these right here are not super powerful, but you can grind a lot of material off with these because of how fast they rotate. These only have 1 speed, and that is very fast, and that is awesome at being able to grind away material with a 36 grit belt and I absolutely love it. Now, you got to be a little careful, which is one of the reasons why I have the slack belt on this the whole entire time, because with how fast it goes on shaping handles, you'll remove material a lot faster than you think on a 1x30, but the 1x30s are nice because you can actually get into some of the smaller grooves in the handle, as opposed to the 2x72, it doesn't allow that. But you do have to be a little careful because of how fast this is spinning. It will remove material faster than you think. But these right here are some of the modifications that I did to the 1x30s and their Platens and things like that. Now when it comes to a few of the other smaller things, I did modify the little caps that go over the tops of these. I just modified it a little bit because I use these every once in a while to keep debris from flying into my face. All I did was grind off this little lip, basically a lip like this right here, off this side, so that whenever it is on there, a belt can be removed and put back in there without having to take this off. Before, you would have to remove this, put the belt on, put this back down. Now you can just easily pop that belt out, put the belt in with this still attached. I also shortened these, made them shorter because they were almost a complete U. I shortened it so that I could get all the way up into the top here around that wheel and have all this extra room. And all this is for is a shield now to keep debris from hitting you, nothing else. Did that with both of them for each one. And then you have this little handy dandy guy right here. This is a work rest that I ended up making out of the original work rest and a cutting board. Just a real simple setup there. It's just got 2 holes drilled through the work rest, and then it is bolted to the top there. And then it still has the cutout so that you can actually slide the belt through here and go into this little area so you can easily mount it on here. This does still fully articulate, but this gives you more room so that if you're using something like a bevel jig, you can still go all the way across, as opposed to only having that little bitty room that's almost as wide as the bevel jig itself. This gives you all of the movement all the way across. So something simple there. Little cutting board. None of these things that I'm showing you on this are expensive things. This was scrap wood that I just used to make this box for this. This was the existing platen that I modified to make it a tensioner. This was a real cheap piece of steel that I already had. Modifying the shields, those came with it. And then this was a cutting board that I had in my house that I cut up to make this. None of this stuff was overly expensive things to modify simple 1x30s. So these are things that you can do to make your 1x30 a more useful knife making tool. Now I'm going to bring you back up. I'm going to talk about a couple of other things. So when it comes to these tools, there's no real need to go through buying a 2x72 if you're just making a few knives here and there. If you just want a 2x72 for the sake of having one because you're going to do all kinds of other things other than knife making with it, it's a great tool. I love my 2x72. I absolutely think it's one of my favorite tools in my whole entire shop because it puts in the most work out of everything that I own. Love my 2x72. But if you're not making knives and selling them, it doesn't make much sense to go with this financial investment because you're not going to recoup that money. If you plan on making enough knives to compensate you for this purchase, do it. Absolutely do it. But if you're going to be the hobbyist that just makes a few knives here and there, maybe 1 a month, 2 a month, get yourself a 1x30 from Harbor Freight. Get one of those, start making knives. You're going to be in love. This is going to put in so much work. If you're using a file jig right now to make your knives, you can keep doing that, but get yourself a 1x30 because you are going to make your life so much easier by doing that. And you can do a few of the simple tricks that I did here and just make it awesome. Let's say you got one. You could get one, make that frame that I did to make mine horizontal, and you could still use that same thing, that same tool, vertical. All you got to do is just turn it on its bottom and use it vertical. You can do that, use it horizontal, everything. That frame works both ways. I just happened to get an extra one, so I did this setup right here because I didn't want to have to go back and forth switching belts. By having two, paid myself back on the first couple of knives purely on time saving alone because I can have different belts for different things set up on those tools. Those were like $50 each, and I make that back quick by just small time savings here and there, so it's worth it to me. If I could have 5 of those with all different belts on them and I never had to switch belts and I can just go boom, 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 knock them out, they would all pay for themselves. So, simple things like that. But I think that if you are thinking about getting a 2x72, you should definitely make sure that you are going to be making enough knives to make it make sense. If you're not, get yourself a 1x30 and never look back. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave a link for those 1x30s in the description below. They're not like ads or anything like that. It's just purely the link to it. I'm not getting any kickback for these or anything. I just have a lot of people that whenever I talk about them, they want links for them. This is going to save me time and make it a lot easier on y'all. So if y'all want to go check out the 1x30s, you can do that. Click on the link down below. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about is really making sure y'all understand that on the next, Shop Talk Tuesday, we are going to be doing the knife handle for the giveaway knife, and then one after that, we're going to be doing the edge on the giveaway knife. But after that, I'm going to be doing a few of the different builds during these Shop Talk Tuesdays, but they will be more commentary based like they are now because that was the whole point behind them, so that I could break down these things and talk with y'all one-on-one. My goal is whenever I actually get the shop built that's on the, replacing the forge, this whole entire shop here is going to get completely redone, and it is going to be based on Shop Talk Tuesdays, me being able to sit down with y'all and talk and be able to do a few different things that y'all will get to see later this year. But this whole entire shop is going to be dedicated to that and not so much builds in here. I'm going to do small things in here and do a few things that I want to focus on in this one, but all of the build stuff is going to be in the bigger shop over there. So we'll have a few things coming up this year that are going to be kind of pushing my channel to the next level. Hopefully y'all are pumped for that. But guys, that's pretty much the end of this one. If you would, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or one of my other videos. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And guys, I just want to thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there. I'll catch y'all next time.